there's only one thing that's going to separate the winners and losers, and that's the action that they take. So keep that in mind. It's your action.
Agent Power Huddle is a daily jumpstart, giving you all the tools you need to create an amazing real estate career. Led by top experts in the field, you'll learn how to sell more houses in less time while creating the life you want. Welcome to the Agent Power Huddle.
Oh, I can't hear Susan. Can Theodis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, cool. Susan, we can't hear you. Can you say something again? Susan, okay. Checks your audio. How's everyone else feel this morning? Thumbs up, wave, hi. You guys here? All right.
No.
There we go. You're back. What's up, Susan?
Oh, very cool. Okay, you asked me that question, Jesse, and I'm going to respond, living the dream.
Living the dream. I love it. So the reason I'm asking how you're feeling is because we are going to be talking about today the power of emotions.
We were.
Oh, we're not talking about that one anymore?
As if I haven't shifted on you guys more than once in the last week, right? Maybe even yesterday, because you all promoted the Be Alert system. And I'm like, you know what? I even had something last night that the Be Alert system, since that was all promoted, I'm ready to go on that one. And okay, so I'm going to shift right back on you.
Go for it.
Don't you love working with women? We change our minds like that.
I love working with people. All I care about is that we get the crew of people with us. We get them warmed up, excited, ready to go for a Monday morning, right? You guys alive, excited, and full of energy? Feeling good?
That's right. All right. Hey, everybody. Okay, so you know what? It's so funny. I responded, living the dream. And Jesse and Theodis, yesterday I was flipping back and forth a little bit on which topic I want to talk about today, because I want you all to know that when I kind of select a topic, it's usually something, coming from my heart, something that's coming from what's happening in life at that given moment. I'm thinking, gosh, I wonder if anybody else is going through this, or something is going on in their lives that maybe I can reach out through this screen and touch you all in some way to enhance and better your lives. So it's interesting. I was going to go the power of emotion, and we're going to get into that one, I think, next week, but the live in the dream. So it was interesting. Wesley, is all, he's in cancer remission now. My daughter, she got engaged. It's like, life is actually pretty darn good right now, and it's interesting because the Be Alert system is going to fall into play here quite a bit. And you're going to learn about it because it's about creating an optimum balance. When somebody asks you, hey, how you doing? Isn't it great to be able to literally respond, live in the dream? And what is that dream? What is it looking like to you? What is it, that optimum balance? Because, we all, let's face it, we're always kind of struggling and counterbalancing in our lives to try to create that optimum life. Wouldn't you agree? Give me a little head shake. We're either usually heavy on one side of either working a lot or maybe you need to work a little bit more, or, not relaxing and resting. And for one area or another, we can get up at 5 or 6 in the morning. We can work all day, get home 7, 8 o'clock at night. We still need to take care of our families, our homes, and everything else. And sometimes those pressures can really be daunting. They can really be daunting. And sooner or later, something's going to give, right? So interestingly enough, when these stresses of life come on, you got to think about, what you focus on expands, right? You've heard that before. What you focus on expands. So, if you're not really living the dream right now, or if you feel like maybe your life is a little bit out of control in some areas, or you're not getting quite the results you want, this system called the Be Alert system is a great little system and kind of a checklist, if you will, to kind of keep that wheel of life, in evenly balanced and moving forward. Sound good? Thumbs up? Am I with you? Okay. So, here's the thing. The question is, do you enjoy a well-balanced life, doing work you love, okay, that gives you an excellent financial return, as well as allows you some time off to pursue some of your other interests? Is that happening in your life right now? Yes or no? Ask yourself that question. If it's no, then this little system may help you. It's called the Be Alert system. It's just the capital B and then dash and the word alert. So if
I'm
you
gonna
check
say,
out
Susan,
the word, go ahead.
I'm going to say, Susan, that even if those things are working in your life, like I'd never heard of this Be Alert system. I started Googling it before, you were talking about this over the weekend. I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like, even if your life is working, you can still pick something else about this. That's the cool thing about Mindset Mondays. It doesn't matter where on the spectrum of your life you're at, whether things are not working or working, there's something that applies.
Well, you're 100% right, Jesse. And the thing about it is if you've ever done the wheel of life, you're going to find that sometimes, like I think I taught in the middle, and you start dotting around, where you are financially, where you are in your business, where you are in your relationships, where you are in your health, your nutrition, and you start drawing the circle around. And if you want to ultimately be a one full circle, but sometimes it depends on where we are in our lives, that it may go up and down, and it just helps you kind of identify where you're needing to place your focus to enhance your life. And all right, so the Be Alert system does this as well. So again, if you look at alert in the dictionary, you're going to see at the ready, you're going to see mindful, you're going to see using intelligence, you're going to see on guard, conscious, prepared. That's what being alert is. It's being ready to go. And are you ready? Are you ready? Are you using mindful things every single day to be focused on where you really want to go? What's the opposite of alert? Mindless, unprepared, unconscious, off guard. And so honestly, if you had a choice, where do you want to live? Obviously, it's where you want to be prepared and focused and moving forward. And yet, it's interesting. I don't know, a lot of us obviously aren't going to the offices like we used to, but if you remember when we used to go back in the office, you might go in and there's people just kind of hanging out there and just, chit-chatting away the day and really not getting a whole lot done. In fact, there would be a joke in my office. People, I got along with everybody, but they would say I had blinders on a lot because I knew that when my kids were in school and I got to the office, I had to get what I had to get done in the time that I had. So I was very laser focused on that. So that's your choice, which direction and where are you living right now? Why do people, do that? They, not actually live with purpose, and why don't they actually spend their time in the area of productivity and focus? Because it's much easier to fall back into our old habits and our old routines. It's much harder to make those changes and actually, keep your life moving forward in an optimal manner. All right. It's Monday morning. Am I coming along pretty good for you here? I'm seeing kind of people kind of hanging out there. I love to get you all engaged. The B for the Be Alert system is called your blueprint. And again, some of this you may have heard before, but your blueprint is the night before. How many of you do that? If you prepare the night before, what happens is, your mind is actually starting to find solutions. Are you hearing me okay?
You're cutting it out a bit, but yeah, I'm hearing you. Some of it, we're getting most of it. So when you say, because can we talk about preparing the night before?
Yeah.
Because this is something I've heard many times. And every time someone says, do you prepare the night before? I make this face.
Yeah, I saw that. That's why you're getting it.
Like kind of. So Theodis gave a resounding, yeah, he prepares. You do too. Maybe I do, and I don't even realize it. Like what are you doing, Theodis? And then we'll come back to you, Susan. Like, what are you doing, Theodis, that counts as preparing the night before?
Well, I mean, when I prepare, I don't mean 100% prepare, but I do identify, okay, what are the most important things I need to do for the next day? And I create a slot for those. I put those down. I make sure those are on my calendars, because if those things are done, that moves the needle, that helps with the momentum. And it allows me to not think about it when I go to bed. It's like, okay, I have a safe place for it. I don't have to try to manage it in my sleep. And I know that when I wake up in the morning, I've thought through it a little bit. So I already have momentum going into those things that I've, reserved a spot for my next day.
I love it. What about you, Susan? Is that similar to what you do?
He just nailed it. And that's exactly what we're talking about here is, really knowing what your big rocks are the next day, having them already scheduled, knowing, and when you do that the night before, and a lot of it's habit too, Jesse, a lot of it is, your mindset in the morning, your reading time, but then if you've got a presentation going on the next day, that you're actually prepared for that presentation and you're thinking ahead of what needs to be accomplished on that next day, not the next month, just that next day. And when you go to sleep, it allows you kind of to release that, but your subconscious mind is still searching for ways to actively accomplish those big rock items for your next day. So you're planning them out. It's much like if an architect goes to design a building, for example, and the owners, they don't just go up to a contractor and say, hey, I want this beautiful building and just throw some money at it, just see what you can come up with. They actually have a plan they've got it to put in action, and they've got the blueprint made out for what the end result is going to look like. So your subconscious mind will actively be searching for ways for you to achieve that end result if you always keep that end result, in focus, and you prepare it even the night before. Again, you look, what's the end result for my day tomorrow that we need to have accomplished, and that your subconscious mind will go to work even in your sleep to start preparing that. So your B is your blueprint. So you want to make sure you always do that. You want to journal it. You want to write it in your calendar, your electronic calendar, or your hard copy calendar. Either way, you've got it written down. When you write it down too, it also helps to release it out of your head, so you're not trying to think about it all night long, but you've got it again prepared. You've taken that time to create that blueprint and you've inked it. So your subconscious mind now starts to go to work. That's your blueprint. So if you're not doing that already, I'm going to highly encourage that. The A, now we get into the A for be alert. The A is a big capital A. If you look at the be alert, it's a big capital A, and that's for what? Action. Okay, you can have a great blueprint, but if you don't take your action on it, as we've talked about in many other episodes, then your results just flat out won't show up. So that's the very difference between, a well-planned blueprint is the action that's going to be following behind it. There's only one thing that's going to separate the winners and losers, and that's the action that they take. So keep that in mind. It's your action.
Can we pause on action for a sec? Can we pause on action for a second? So Theodis, I know you've got some good tips for action. I read this, I don't know where, but I keep coming back to the whole cold shower thing. I hate to keep talking about cold showers and beating to the ground, but every time I look, new things pop up. So regarding taking action, I was reading a Tony Robbins interview, and one of his like trainers or people in his world was talking about cold showers. And the reason it's because cold showers are jumping in a cold body of water. If you guys live in a cold place, it trains your body and your mind to make that connection that it's go time for action, right? It's not an easy thing. When we talk about it, some of you cringe. You're like, it's not supposed to be easy or fun. You're not supposed to be like, I'm excited about getting in cold water, but it trains you when you say, okay, it's time to go, you go. And I like that.
It's an emotional trigger, right?
It's an emotional trigger.
By the way, I did that. Remember we had a challenge that week for everybody to do that week? Who else did it? Anybody? Let me see some hands go up.
I'm still doing it. I'm hooked now. I love it. So Theodis, what about you? How do you trigger action for yourself?
There's a few things that I do. There's a saying: if you have a foot on the past and a foot on the future, you're taking on the present. Right? So that helps me practice mindfulness with just being in the moment. And then also too, when, sometimes I can get a little overwhelmed because I have all these things I need to do, but I'm sure you guys heard that saying, we get to. It's not I have to, it's like I get to. I get to like grow my business during a pandemic. Like, why in the hell am I complaining? Why wouldn't I want to be able to capitalize on the opportunity to grow my business and my team where a lot of people were struggling? So it's like, it's just reframing my mindset and realize, wait a minute, dude, you are so blessed to be in a position to have all these things to take care of. So I get to, and being in the moment definitely sets the tone for me to take the appropriate course of action.
Love that. I love that. To change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, look at how grateful we are for some of the things we took for granted in the past. right? And so it's really, again, when you said, how are you doing? And I say, living the dream, you start to think about the gratitude that we have for so many other areas and so many things, Theodis. And so taking action is pretty huge, as we all know, in everything we do. We can have all the plans in the world, but the action is really what it comes down to. And by the way, this is about optimal balance. That means when you take a day off too, you get to go on vacation, you actually take action in rest. You take action in those items where you, so you don't feel guilty about it. You don't need to feel guilty about taking that time, because that is your optimal balance, right? Anybody else want to add anything on the action part? Because action is something we pretty much consistently talk about every single week on here, and I think it's so critically important, is that massive action.
Yeah. The last thing just to put in is just to chunk it down. Right, break it into smaller and smaller pieces. I find that's also the easiest thing that I've been focused on. When you look at, even on a daily basis, if you have things within your day, there's still smaller component parts. There's still tiny pieces within your day. And the smaller you break it down, the easier it is to start action on it.
Right. And remember, and even last week, we talked about, what are the top 3 things? Because there could be 100 things that you can do to move that needle forward. But if you identify those top 3 things, remember, laser focus on those and take your action steps. So that's your action part. The next part of the Be Alert system is learning. Always be learning based. Come from curiosity. This goes back to, are you reading books? And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. Reading books, a podcast, a webinar, 20 to 30 minutes a day. You can combine it, while you're exercising. But what are you doing, to actually, continue learning every single day? As you learn, you grow. So the Be Alert system and the optimum balance will also continue in terms of that growth and learning. Podcasts are great if you can't sit down actually and read the book, but, watching a webinar, joining, mastermind groups, that kind of thing. But you should always be doing something that's stimulating, that's challenging, that's, giving you an edge on your industry, and something that's going to enhance your body, mind, and soul, right? So that's the L part of your Be Alert system. So a lot of these things, folks, we're probably doing a lot of them, but are you doing them consistently? And are you doing them enough that if you were to fill out that wheel of life, that the results of these things are showing up on a regular basis? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So everyone who's here on Agent Power Huddle is clearly they're committed to learning at that level on a daily basis. So glad you guys are here. But I like putting in context of your wheel. If you guys remember that, right? There might be certain areas where you're hanging out with positive people, right? In the world of business, you are surrounding yourself with people who sell more homes than you, that are positive, that are excited, right? You're doing that. But maybe your health, you're not hanging out with people that are right positive in the world of health or spirituality or whatever else it is for you that you might be working on. So I love that idea of learning and surrounding yourself in each of the areas you're focused on.
Yeah, maybe next week I can share this wheel of life, because I don't know if everybody's have seen it before, but it's interesting because you should consistently, maybe even, every couple of weeks or whatever, even every week you fill out your wheel, because again, it keeps you, what you focus on expands. I mentioned last week, when I did this, it was interesting because before real estate, I ran health clubs. I've been teaching fitness since I was 16 years old, and my wheel, you guys, and I'm very authentic when I teach. So my health and fitness was at the lower spectrum of the rest of my wheel, which was really unusual for who I am. Since I've been working out has been part of my lifestyle for so many years. But I realized that's because I always had it scheduled. I teach classes for LA Fitness, which means I'm at the gym and I'm teaching and I'm leading classes no matter how busy I am in real estate or my family life. I go to the gym, everybody are expecting me there. But what happened when the gym closed? What happened when the gym closed? All right, I have my Peloton down, but I'm going to own it. You guys, I'm not as committed and it's interesting, even though I've had this habit for years, my habit was showing up to my scheduled time, working out, leading people, and by myself in my own home, not quite as motivated on my own bike. Interesting, right? So this wheel can change. There were years ago, financially was on the bottom. Now that's luckily and fortunately one at the top, my business and all that kind of thing. But that wheel can change. So that wheel keeps your finger on the pulse too of, hey, what are you starting to neglect that maybe you didn't in the past, but maybe you're letting it slip a little bit. And gee, maybe we should be a little bit more mindful. Remember, we started that in the beginning with, the B about being mindful and being alert and mindful as to what is happening in your life that's shifting and changing, that might pull you out of an area that used to be very, without even thinking about it, was just part of your daily routine. Okay. So that leads us right into the next. What do you think the E stands for, everybody? Exercise. Okay. So we were the learning, and then there's the exercise. And we all know, exercise improves our sleep habits, right? It improves our energy levels. It, relieves stress and anxiety. It, protects against injury. It helps us with healthy posture. Any type of digestive disorders, it can improve that. It improves our self-image. It improves our longevity, and all these wonderful positive side effects about exercising. And yet, oftentimes that falls to the bottom of our priority list, right? Theodis, you're obviously, that's obviously at the very top, and you were so strong with that. And I admire it so much. And for me, who had it is more of a habit and something I love to do, it was a hobby habit that I just did and kept me fit and in shape and high energy and everything else. I'm realizing now, without that regular appointment time, it slipped. Okay. So what is that happening in your life? Ask yourself that kind of question.
Well, I want to ask Theodis a question,
Yes,
right? So if you guys don't know Theodis, by the way, because those of you, if you're first time on this one, Theodis is, learned to swim when he was after 40 and swam from Alcatraz to the mainland, and then did an Ironman. And so he's very committed to fitness. So I had found, Theodis, that in the early mornings, I got my fitness routine dialed in. But then since the world of COVID, I'm a lot more sedentary throughout the day. I spend a lot more time in a chair on Zooms. Do you find that for yourself, or are you pretty much out and about during the day too?
That's why I do the exercise early. You saw sometimes I get up 3:30, 4:30, not because I'm a superhero, but because I am horrible if I don't get my exercise in. Like, if I don't get my juices flowing. The other day, my wife was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I thought I showered twice, even brushed my teeth twice, but she said I was still looking crusty. And it was because I hadn't exercised yet. And, it's just to piggyback on what Susan was saying, you guys, it does not have to be rocket science to have an amazing shift in our lives. I've been doing cold showers now. I think I'm coming close to 300 days in a row. I added making my bed, because after a long day, it feels so good to come into a bedroom and the bed is made. And my wife and we've been husband and wife team for 15 years. So what we implemented is, in the morning, I don't care what's going on with our deals, we cannot talk real estate until we say I love you and give each other a kiss. Those three things have totally changed how my morning and my momentum in my morning goes. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
That is super cool. I like that rule. And anyone else work with their significant other? Some of you do, right? A couple of you. Yeah, I love that. That's such a cool rule. All right. I don't work with my wife, but I'm going to implement that rule in the morning anyway. His work comes up often.
It's a game changer. Trust me.
For me, the last thing, Susan, before we go on the next letter, for exercise, I will say that for anybody who does a lot of Zooms or sits in front of a computer, like I do listing appointments over Zoom. I do a lot in front of the computer these days. I've started realizing that certain things in the day I can turn into a phone call instead of a Zoom. And so I will go walk around the block around my office, or right, like I'll literally put on a headphone and I'll just I have a little hill, go up the hill, down the hill. I'll spend 10, 15 minutes just doing my call while I'm walking slowly up and down the hill. And it's been a game changer in my focus middle of the day. So if anyone feels yourself sluggish in the afternoon, try that out, see how it goes, because you might be more sedentary than you even realize.
I love it. It's so funny. You just took me back to when I first started real estate, and I was, farming my neighborhoods, and, I did this before I was able to hire anybody to do it. I went out and did it myself, and I walked, and walking was so good. I put my little headsets on. This is not when I would door knock too, but I'm talking about just door hanging, and I was door hanging and walking in the neighborhoods, and that it was every day, roll out of bed, into the tennis shoes and out to the farm areas. And I was walking thousands of homes. So not only was it great to know the neighborhoods, but it was a great exercise. And I put my little headset on and listened to, different, actually back then it was Mike Ferry, the Mike Ferry audios and all that kind of stuff. But, there's a lot of different things that we can do to just keep moving and keep active. And yeah, I'm on a lot of Zooms too, Jesse, but I do definitely get out and get moving, because I would go nuts inside, sitting inside all day.
And I know we got 2 more letters to get through, so I want to make sure we get the last 2 letters. But we did, by the way, turn, in case you missed us talking about it, we did turn all of the Agent Power Huddles into a podcast. So there's 50, 60, 70 old episodes at this point that you can listen to, audio only versions on iTunes, Spotify. So if you want something to listen to while you're walking around, now you've got something else.
Now you got it.
There you go.
So, okay. So the R is actually for relaxing. Now, quite frankly, relaxing is, for me, it's hard for me to get my mind to relax. Sometimes I can hang out and just, my body can start to relax, but my mind is always going. Does any of you, let me see a show of hands, ever have trouble sleeping at night? Quite a few of you. I used, so it was kind of a joke, but I'll tell you, one of the things I said, real estate gave me ADHD. I mean, I don't know, but it's like, my mind wouldn't go to sleep. It's like, and it wasn't anything stressful. It wasn't like I was being stressed. I was probably more excited than anything, especially when your business is growing and things are happening. You've got all these great ideas, and, it really is I would fall asleep. And then, or if I fell asleep fast and I woke up, forget it. I could not get back to sleep, and I'd be going downstairs, sitting on the couch for a few hours and turning the TV on, maybe reading something at that point, just to try to get myself to go back to sleep again. And it's interesting because, when you go to sleep, you're actually I started visualizing. This is what really has helped. And my husband will tell you I'm sleeping a lot better now. I, of course, did the preparation the night before. That helps to unload what's a lot of the activeness that's in your mind. So that's another reason to do your preparation at night. But the other thing is to visualize your body having a cord or a charge plug, and you plug it into an outlet. This is literally what I did. It might be sounding corny to some of you, but I literally visualized I'm being plugged into the wall to recharge. And I'm, when the night is quiet and everybody in my household is asleep, and I'm sitting there laying in bed looking at the ceiling, which happens a lot with my head. I'll think to myself, I'm going to give myself permission. This is my time to relax now. This is my time to recharge. And I honestly, I would say to myself, and I still do, I give you permission now to rest. And for some reason, I'm just telling you what worked for me. You guys try it. When I started visualizing the plugging into the outlet to recharge my body so I can give out more, and I started giving myself permission to relax. This is your quiet time. This is your time to recharge and relax. I give you permission to do that. My mind, I started to get much better sleep. Go figure. That's my story. You guys can tell me if you guys have any other helpful hints that has severely changed in the last couple of months, that's really changed for me. But that another thing is like a power nap during the day. Have you ever heard of the 20-minute power nap? If those even work, throughout the day too. If you need to, if you're working, you need to take even a quiet break in your car if you need to, or just 20 minutes just to decompress and then restart again, whatever you're doing. Anybody want to add into the relaxation? Theodis, Jesse.
I mean,
you guys are on mute.
We can, I know we only have a few minutes, so why don't you get to the last letter? So, we could spend a whole episode talking about the difference between active and passive relaxation. There's a very big difference, guys, for some of you. And active being like a meditative sort of thing, passive being more of a nap, watching a show, something like that. There's positives and minuses to each one. The important part as a realtor that I think, just to repeat what you said, Susan, because there's still realtors don't hear it often enough, is it is okay to take a break. Right? It really is okay. You're going to do better and be more productive and be more focused when you actually take a minute to sharpen your axe every so often. Right? That really is a big thing. So
that is what it comes down to. And Jesse, I've interviewed and I've talked to, hundreds of top agents that, even when I was recruiting people over at KW and stuff like that, people come in and they have these really great businesses, and I start asking them questions. And the more I started asking them questions about their life, their families, and, it's like I would see tears start to come down. It's amazing how wound up we get in the direction moving forward that, we let go and we don't really talk about the recharge and how we're going to continue this for the long run, for many, many years in our businesses and our families, and making sure that something is not going to give at home or in our health for that reason.
We got 1 minute. What's the last letter? What's the last
part is just thinking. Okay. And it's not just thinking regularly. It's really about reflective thinking. So at the end of your day, take note and think back. Well, how was your day today? How do we accomplish everything we wanted to accomplish that we set forth the night before? Is there any adjustments that we need to make in the sales here to continue the next day forward as we prepare for the next day? Is there anything we need to do different? What reflectively can we do to say, how can I make it even better tomorrow, that I'm going to be keeping this wheel of life that much more balanced? So that's your last point, is your reflective thinking. Remember, if you realize how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought again. So keep that mindset in great shape and in health, and work towards that optimal balance each day.
I love it. If you guys want a deeper dive on thinking, reflective thinking in the night before, Tristan Ahumada was on here. He did a really good one on your evening routine. If you check our YouTube channel, Zach, you can drop a link to that YouTube channel in there. Theodis, Susan, you got a last final thought before we? I saw you come off mute, Theodis. You got one, Theodis?
I'm just going to remind everyone to, we get to, not we have to, but we get to.
I love it. I love it. Susan, this is awesome.
Well, thank you guys. And I'm glad sorry guys, I jumped back and forth, but I think we'll get into that state of the state of emotion next week, because that's another great topic I was ready to go and talk about. So we'll jump into that one next week. You guys go make it a phenomenal week. And if you haven't checked out the Wheel of Life, I don't know, or the Circle of Life, I don't know if we have any graphics. This is something from a course I took last week. Maybe we can upload that somewhere into our system or on our page. Okay.
Love it. Have a good day, everybody. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.